David F says, if you could trade Aaron Boone for any manager on any club, who would it be? Great to have you guys back every day.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm one of your hosts, Stacey Gotsulias. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, not only is it Friday, and not only is it Fanmail Friday, but it's Valentine's Day.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you and to all of you. If you have a significant other, I hope you have the best dinner, movie, chocolates, whatever you do with them. And if you're single like me, happy Friday.
Happy Valentine's Day to all the lovers out there. It can represent love of anything.
That's true. That's true. Because I get stuff for Valentine's Day, just not from a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
I don't get anything from anybody.
Oh.
But I never will because I'm a male.
Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. You can subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You can like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live, and you can participate in the chats when they premiere too, if you want to, if you're up that early, because they go up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And you can leave comments because that helps with the algorithm too. Coming up on today's show, it's Fanmail Friday. We answer all your burning questions. And as with every Fanmail Friday, we start with our insiders. If you'd like to know what that's about, check out the link in the description. And we start out with our tried and true first insider, Betty, who asks, using 6 starters in a 5-man rotation, would you think of rotating the bottom 3, Stroman, Schmidt, and Heel, so that they stay fresh all season? Last year, they seem to wear down over time.
No, I think this is a move that I would completely disagree with if the Yankees went towards. And to be honest with you, Betty, I don't think the Yankees are going to go anywhere towards this kind of move. I think when you acquire 3 pitchers that are making north of $30 million a year and 3 pitchers that have, I think we'd all agree that Cole, Rodon, and Max Fried are all ace quality pitchers. They all at times have number 1 stuff. Now, Garrett Cole is consistently number 1 all the time, but all 3 of those guys have number 1 stuff and can lead a rotation at any given night. When you have 3 guys like that, you want to get the max potential out of all 3 of those guys, which means the max amount of innings out of those guys. A 6-man rotation helps when one of those guys has an injury and you don't know if he's going to make it through the season. When one of those guys is Masahiro Tanaka and you don't know if that elbow is going to blow, so you kind of want to preserve the arm at any moment, that's when the 6-man rotation helps. When you have 3 guys making the amount of money these 3 guys are making, and with the quality and caliber these guys have of the ability to have the season they can have, you cannot take innings away from these guys. You just can't. And with 3 pitchers at that level, you can't afford for that. You need these guys out there pitching 200 innings this year, 180 innings this year because no one pitches 200 anymore. You need them out there pitching 180 innings this year. If you move it to a 6-man rotation, you're going to get 150 innings. Are they fresher? Sure, but they're not as effective throughout the entire length of the season. I don't think there's any way the Yankees do this. I think it's just this is heading towards Stroman's not going to be on the team, and that's about it.
I would agree with that.
David F says, if you could trade Aaron Boone for any manager on any club, who would it be? Great to have you guys back every day. He's definitely placating towards us, right?
I don't know. I can't.
Can we trade him for draft picks, like what a 5th-round pick to?
And then just elevate Osmus, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know if there's. It's not. I don't know if there's a specific manager out there that I want. It's more of I don't want him. Maybe Bruce Bochy.
I just want him to be better at in-game managing because he's great, personnel wise and with the guys, they all seem to love him, but I just wish he would make better decisions. And I know it's not just him. There's input from other people, but my God, who told him to put Nestor Cortez in that game? I will never stop talking about this. I know I've mentioned it 500 times since it happened, but if I live to be 95, I will still be talking about this. I'm just saying.
I guess Bruce Bochy, if I had to come up with a guy right now. Snicker is another guy that I would choose, but overall, Council's a really good one. Like there's a lot of managers out there that are better than Aaron Boone right now. I think. I don't think the thing is the Yankees stack the roster with so much talent every single year. I can't even have. I have trouble giving Aaron Boone credit for the good years they have because I seriously, baseball is. I don't know. I don't know the exact rankings right
I
now.
think his best year was 2019 when they had all those guys injured and they had to plug people in and people were filling in. And he did a good job of managing that lunacy because it was lunacy when that happened. I mean, I don't know how that team managed to win 103 games with 30 guys on the IL at one point. I'm not even throughout the season. Like there were different IL trips. It was unbelievable.
I can agree with you there. I can. But again, it's in-game decisions. And the Nestor thing is blown up, and we talk about it all the time because it happened in the World Series. But Stacey, there were a million instances that happened throughout the season that little things that we'd complain about,
like your favorite game in Milwaukee.
I mean, and those little things can derail seasons. And might I mention, for a while we thought the Milwaukee incident did derail the season. We did, and it looked like it did for a while. So, yeah, I have trouble sitting here. Giving you necessarily the guy that I want Aaron Boone to be replaced by. I just think he's not the manager.
Right. Thank you for the question, David. Next up, Thomas asks, could you each pick a somewhat under the radar, non-third base, non-Stroman story you will each be interested in following through spring training and early spring season? Thanks.
Anthony Volpe's progression. I think coming out of spring last year, there were a lot of high expectations for him, and he did play well at the start of the year, and then it all tailed off. And I think there were periods of time last year where for a few weeks at a time, he'd be an unbelievable hitter, and then it would fall off the rails again. I want to see consistency out of him. I want to see if he can become a consistent 280 hitter, with a 350 on base, and give you some decent pop that we know he has. I just want to see what his progression looks like. I think we all forget how young he is. And how young he is in life, figuring things out. So that's one of the ones that I'm really interested in.
I'm not sure if this is under the radar, but people aren't mentioning it. They're mentioning Max Fried coming over to the Yankees, but I just want to see how he does coming over to the Yankees because he's been a good pitcher basically his whole career. But I just want to see how everything starts off with him.
And I think a good one to note, too, is how Carlos Rodon follows up last season. Last season was by far his best with the Yankees. The first one was obviously a disaster. Let's see what he looks like because even at times we saw it last year for sure, but we never saw it consistently. And we both know that Carlos Rodon, when his stuff is on, I mean, he's got Cy Young capable stuff. So let's see him do that for 15, 18 starts in a row throughout a season. We haven't seen that yet with the Yankees. We've seen it for 5 starts in a row, but we haven't seen it for a lengthy period of time. Let's see how that looks because, Stacey, it is true. Even if, and the back end of the rotation is really good, but if the top 3 guys are rolling this year, this could be an unbelievably dominant rotation.
I would agree with that.
I'm still shocked they got Fried, honestly, when you think about it.
I know, that came out of nowhere. I was like, what? Max Fried? Okay.
They didn't necessarily need a starting pitcher. It really, it's a crazy signing, but I love it. Last for the first segment, Eric S. asks, do you think Yankee fans appreciate that this team is almost always competitive and playing in the postseason? The complaints of other Yankee fans can take the fun out of what is a game. Imagine rooting for the Marlins, Rockies. You know our answer.
No, they're not appreciative. No, it's true though. But it comes in waves because the Yankees were so good for so long when they, like from the 20s to the 60s, they were good. Then there was a little bit of a lull there. Then they won again at the end of the 70s. Then they had that lull in the 80s into the 90s. Then they were really good. But this has been the most consistent. Like they haven't won a bunch of World Series, but they're not missing the playoffs 4 years in a row. They're not crapping out, really. They're not doing a true rebuild either. So there's no chance for them to be as bad as they were in the early 90s when they were losing 95 games or whatever the worst record was in the early 90s.
Yeah, it's funny too, because if people fail to realize if the current playoff system existed in the 80s, they would have made the playoffs every year.
Right. Or nearly every year. Like there would have been a few playoff entries there. And we talk about this all the time. I don't know how people handle being fans of teams that don't try to do anything. You must okay, we all really love baseball, right? That's why we watch baseball. It's not just because our team is good. We like the sport of baseball. Otherwise, we wouldn't go to games. We wouldn't pay attention to games. You know what I mean? But I really don't understand how people can root for teams that don't try. The Yankees try. I know we complain about certain aspects of how Hal is running the business and certain things that he doesn't do and certain things that he does do. But for the most part, they are putting, as you said, the team is almost always competitive. And, unless something really goes wrong, like 2023, and if they're in a slight, not quite a full rebuild like 2016, they're retooling things. I mean, we're lucky to watch this team. Yes, it could be frustrating at times, but I would much rather be a Yankee fan than be a Rockies fan at this point.
The sad part is there's a dozen teams you could use as an example with that last line.
Well, especially the Rockies, though. I mean, there's no excuse for that team.
I've publicly said this before, so I don't have a problem saying it again. I do think the Yankees have one of the worst fan bases in sports.
Oh, yeah.
And I love being a Yankee fan, but the ungodly expectations every single year of championship or failure, which I know George said that, it's unrealistic. No team wins a championship every single year in any sport. Patriots didn't do it. We just saw the Chiefs don't do it. No team does it. So that's not realistic, and it's never fair to be saying that. But regardless of that, we don't realize as Yankee fans, like you said, they are. When is the last time that you went into a season thinking they're only going to win 80 games this year if they're lucky? That there is a expectation that they could or should win the division every single year. I mean, think about that. There's not a lot of teams in any sport that can really say that every single year. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think people take it for granted rooting for a team like this that is always competitive and always in there. And for when it comes to of people who root for the teams that are always in the doldrums, if you're a seriously passionate fan and it a diehard, if you say, and I think that term gets used way too loosely of late, but if you're a true diehard where it affects your emotions whether they win or lose every night, I think it doesn't matter whether the team tries or not. You're locked in every single night. You just are, and sometimes those are things you can't really turn off. As bad as the Rangers play or the Yankees play, I can't not watch. I can't not focus on it. It gets you through the day. But I do think for a lot of those franchises, the problem is their fans become it becomes a summer activity. Hey, want to go to the Rockies game? Sure, yeah, we'll go grab a beer, a hot dog, and have a nice night. And that's sad because they lose passionate fans. So I think for a lot of those fan bases, that's what they have. They have their pocket of diehards, but those people aren't going anywhere anyway. The rest of them just become casuals.
Yep. All right, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. If you'd like to be part of next week's Fanmail Friday, post a reply to our pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday and start your question with Fanmail Friday, and you can ask us anything. Or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club where you get top priority and your questions are answered in segment 1, or in this case, also segment 2, because we had a bunch of questions. The link is in the description, and it isn't only for Fanmail Friday. You get text from us. You can text us questions and comments. There's a 14-day free trial. It's a really good time. So coming up next, we answer more of your questions for Fanmail Friday.
When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Stacey, more questions from our insiders that bleed over into segment 2. We start with Casey Coutreau, I guess is the pronunciation. Nice French name. What are your thoughts of Ben Rice getting a chance as backup catcher as well as being a backup at first base?
I'd like to say that I was right.
You are. You are. I don't know if they're going to be able to manage him being the backup catcher and the backup first baseman.
Right. I think it's going to be either or.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
don't
gonna
know
be
if that's
either or.
possible.
Yeah.
But catcher sounds great because they don't have another backup really on the roster right now. So it feels like their eggs are kind of in one basket with Ben Rice.
Yeah. And, I think Ben Rice and Austin Wells would probably work well together. If he were the backup catcher, I think that would actually be a good tandem. Um, so we'll see. If he is not the backup first baseman, you could always have Oswaldo Cabrera there. I have a feeling he's going to be we're going to have him as backup third baseman and backup first baseman. That's how I'm
Yep.
envisioning that happening. But yeah, I just hope, Ben Rice takes advantage of this, and he won't have as much pressure either if he is a backup, because the pressure was on him to start when Rizzo wasn't playing. And I think this would ease him into things better. And he could be like a Kyle Higashioka. He has pop in his bat. Higashioka had pop in his bat. And, every once in a while he'd get on a little heater and hit some home runs. And, you don't really expect much out of a backup catcher.
I'd agree with you, especially from that aspect too. Not being in the starting role will really help him, I think. It wasn't fair the way that it was circumstance. I don't think anyone's blaming anyone on it, but it wasn't fair the way that he had to go through his season last year.
Yeah. Thank you for the question, Casey. Next one from insider Aaron L. Which regular season series are you most excited to watch? Series against the Astros and Orioles seem to have lost their luster, while games against the Mets and Red Sox look a lot more exciting than the last few years.
Stacey, I'm going to bring this to May because May is the most exciting month for the Yankees when it comes to series. So they get the 3-game series against the Mets. It's a weekend series, 16th, 17th, and 18th. Right after that series, they stay in the Bronx and they get 3 games against the Rangers. And that's going to be a fun series. I think the Rangers are going to be very improved this year. I think they're probably going to be the Yankees' biggest competition in the American League, if I would guess right now. Then they go to the Rockies and the Angels, and then they go to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
At the end of the month. That's a really fun stretch to end from mid-May on. They have some tough series. You get a little bit of a break with the Rockies and Angels, but then you go right into the Dodgers. That's going to be a lot of fun. Also, side note, I feel like you don't see this a lot when it comes to New York. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Yankees playing a 3-game series against the Angels in Anaheim and then going across town and playing the Dodgers for 3 games. Did teams ever do that in New York? I've never seen a team play the Mets for 3 games and the Yankees for 3 games.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I don't know.
That's a weird. It makes sense scheduling wise, but I've never seen that.
Well, I guess now that the schedule is where you play everyone, then I guess it's easier to do that. And you might see that more now, like maybe next season.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. And there's nothing that doesn't. You got to get excited about a Yankee Dodgers series again. But who knows? That's late in May. The Dodgers might have 90 wins by then. So
I'm like, do we have to get excited about that? Just kidding. I don't know. I haven't even looked at the schedule yet. I'm not in that mode yet. I'm still like, we're in the doldrums of winter still. It's cold. It's rainy. It's going to snow like 2 more times this week. And I'm not even looking ahead yet. But I think I like that the Subway Series is 3-3 again. It should always be. I think it should always be 3-3. I don't like the 2 weekday.
Yeah. It's different.
Games.
It's different feel.
I like the old time. I was always at the Sunday night game, the ESPN
Subway
game.
Series to me does not have the muster that it used to, though.
Well, it's going to now.
We'll see. Yeah.
Just because of the Soto stuff, like that elevates it because that's the only narrative that's going to happen. That entire weekend is going to be on. It's going to be on Fox. It's going to be on ESPN.
Those games are in the Bronx too. He's going to get booed like crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Hate to see it. Let's go to Joey Russo 5416 to our YouTube questions. Thank you to all our insiders. That'll do it for them for this week. Joey Russo says, what third baseman will you guys want the Yankees to target during the trade deadline this upcoming season if all of the internal options don't fit our third base needs? Mine's Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think we forget how dominant of a player Nolan Arenado was in his prime. And we also, Stacey, forget, I think it falls on deaf ears a little bit just because of the fact that he played with the Rockies. and they were an unnoticed franchise and stuff, he still puts up good numbers. He still is an effective player in this league. He's still an excellent fielder. And let's be honest, if none of these guys are putting up crazy numbers, which I don't have crazy expectations for any of them, Nolan Arenado is almost guaranteed to have better numbers than what the options they have right now at third base are. So I think that's the guy you got to go after.
I would agree with that. That would be my choice. Final YouTube question of this segment from Patrick Spencer 5160. Stacey, I love the show. Excluding Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera, who would you pick from the 98 Yankees roster to plug in this year's lineup? Keep up the great work. Go Yankees. Obviously, Scott Brocious. We need a third baseman.
Yeah, I guess that one works the most, right?
If it's the 1998 version of Scott Brocious, heck yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love Mariano too. Imagine Mariano in this bullpen.
Yeah, that would be that would be something. Besides Brocious, oh, Chuck Knobloch was fine when he came over in 98. You know, you had Knobloch, Jeter, setting up for
there's not a lot of bad options with that team.
Yeah, like setting up for O'Neill and yeah, like that
almost everyone had a career year that year.
That team was crazy. That team is crazy. Well, like the guys who had career years were guys that you would expect to have, like Scott Brocious.
Yeah.
But overall, like they didn't have any. Who hit the highest amount of home runs? Was it Bernie? I don't think anyone got to 30 home runs in 1998, if I'm not mistaken. I think the highest. Yeah, I think the highest total was 28, if I'm not mistaken. Like everything was spread out, I think, unless I'm misremembering, which could be because that was 27. Good Lord, years ago.
Oh no, Tino Martinez led the team in home runs that year with 28.
Oh right, okay, it was Tino. Yeah.
Yeah, but the team had an 800 OPS.
Yeah, they were insane.
Yeah,
they were insane.
It's
because there were a bunch of guys who hit double-digit home runs. It just wasn't like 30, 40, 50 home runs. They were all like steadily.
What you were thinking is Bernie won the batting title.
Yes, that's right.
Of, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that was an amazing team. Yeah, obviously, but I mean the role that they went on was unbelievable, and they would have been even better if they didn't fall off a bit in September because they had a bad September, and Torrey had to be
which is nuts. They won 114 games and had a bad
September. They could have won 123 games because they were playing so poorly in September. And Torrey's like, guys, you gotta stop this because how are you going to go into the playoffs? And
they got bored.
Yeah, I think so because I mean they clinched the division in early September, so. Although it was like a foregone conclusion. Like by July, it was like, they're not losing this division. There's no way. That was a fun time. You were too young to remember that, but I went to some games in 98 and yeah, the crowds were crazy. It was fun. It was fun witnessing that team.
I haven't seen a season like that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. All right, coming up next, more Fanmail Friday. And of course, we have to discuss Alex Bregman to the Red Sox. And you're going to find out what we think about that move next.
Prathik Rao says, hi, Stacey and Brian. I'll admit I'm a Giants fan, but I love your show and love to support the California stud number 99. What are the odds that the Judge boy can win the Gold Glove in right field next year? Do you think a consequence of moving Judge to an easier defensive position will be a better postseason hitting? Ooh. I like the angle you're going for there, Prathik, but I'm not sure if that's going to work when it comes to postseason hitting. I will say this, it is a crime that Aaron Judge doesn't have a Gold Glove. And it's almost weird when you think about it that, like, he doesn't have a Gold Glove.
Yeah, I think
the year, elite fielder.
Yeah, the year where he started off at right field and then he split time between the two positions really messed him up. Yeah, it screwed him.
But he absolutely is a Gold Glove caliber right fielder. Not even close. He's a tremendous fielder. Actually, I think that's one of the surprising things people found out about him when he came up. I don't think anyone expected him to have the glove and the arm that he has. Yeah,
because I say it all the time. Like, he's just so athletic for someone that size. You don't expect him to move around the outfield the way he does. Like, you expect this big lumbering dude who's going to fall all over the place and crash into walls and stuff. And he's actually graceful out there. He doesn't look like he has an issue with anything. And, this is like the new era of big dudes playing baseball.
I still get scared every time he dives for a ball.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm just afraid with all that weight going towards the floor that he's going to hurt himself. But
yeah, Yeah, I'd be
Been
afraid of
pretty,
that
been
too.
pretty lucky so far.
Yeah. All right, our final Fanmail Friday question of the week goes to Finja51. Hi guys, not baseball this time, just sports in general. What was your favorite sports memory you watched live in person or on TV? For me, as a Buccaneers fan, it was seeing the 2021 Super Bowl win.
Wow. I was at the Ranger game last year, the playoff game against the Hurricanes in double overtime when Trocheck scored.
Mm.
That was to be in the building for that was pretty incredible. And probably I'm not gonna lie, for me, it's Artemi Panarin when he scored the game winner in Game 7 against a couple of years ago in the first round. I'll never the Penguin series. My favorite. I've told the story a million times, but my favorite player before he came to the Rangers took less money to play with the Rangers than anybody else, and then comes over here and scores and has 50-goal seasons and is just an all-time great with the Rangers. I don't know if I'll ever win a cup because I don't know if they'll ever win a cup, but I mean, my favorite team, my favorite player scoring a game-winning goal and it's a series-clinching goal is almost nothing better than that.
I'm trying to think. Favorite sports memory I watched in person or on TV that isn't a Yankee game. I would say watching the John Starks dunk game in 93 against the Bulls with my dad, because my dad would always get mad at me and my brother if we reacted too much to sports, because he was very even-keeled, but we'd freak out. He jumped up out of his seat. My dad jumped up out of his seat. And I was like, really, Gus? Okay.
Yeah, I thought we didn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we weren't allowed to do that.
watching sports in my house has always been quite the experience. My sister's got many a video on her phone of me freaking out over certain things when it comes to sports. It's a very loud household. Everyone's welcome, but it's very loud when
that's why,
sports on.
because a few years ago people would ask me when I was hosting the show by myself and we were just starting on YouTube. They were saying things like, you should do live streams when you watch games. I'm like, no, you don't need to see how I behave while I'm watching a game.
I don't behave
that.
like a proper adult when games
No,
on.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Still,
it's a fear. We were talking about this as a family recently, though, about how if I have a girlfriend that comes over the house, my sister's gonna have to like pull her aside before a game's on and be like, listen, just to let you know beforehand. This isn't him, and because yeah, it's quite the experience to watch sports with me. And I can honestly tell you that I can't help it.
Yeah,
I
can't either.
honestly, when it comes to yelling and cursing at referees or just blurting out an opinion that I have on something, it's I can't help it. It just comes naturally.
Yeah, because when people were like, "Oh, you went to school for broadcasting. Why didn't you try to do like play-by-play or booth work?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, it was 30 years ago, and people like me didn't do that." But my thought was I'd never be able to do that. I would accidentally say something bad.
Too much emotion.
Yeah. I mean, it took a lot for me to not accidentally say something bad during the World Series when we were coming on here live every night.
I almost wish we could record the non-recorded portion of the stream sometimes, the before and the after, and we could release that to like bonus content because there's a lot of expletives that are given in that moment. I think me and Stacey after that game did an entire show off the air before we actually went on the air. We were talking for like 45 minutes complaining about what happened, and there were a lot of expletives in that show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's multiple kinds of sports fans out there, and there are the ones who are very casual, which sometimes I'm fairly jealous of, that you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, you have the ability to be relaxed during a game.
Yeah, and be like, if I miss the game tonight, I miss the game tonight. Whatever. Then there's the ones who are passionate and love it, but still have that chill vibe to them where if I miss it, I miss it. Okay, cool. And then there are ones like us where if I miss the Yankee game, I have to have it on DVR so I can go home and record it before I can fall asleep.
August 31st, 1997 was Don Mattingly Day.
Okay.
You know how much I love Mattingly.
Aware, yeah.
We were stuck in traffic on Jerome Avenue at about 167th Street. I jumped out of my friend's SUV. I gave them their tickets and I said, I will meet you there. And I ran to the stadium because I didn't want to be late.
Yep, there you go. That's the example that you all need.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Alex Bregman to the Red Sox briefly. It came out yesterday. Late yesterday. I thought people were joking when I saw the contract because I thought 3 years, $20 million, 2 opt-outs. What the heck kind of a contract was that? Then I saw the report that the Tigers had offered, was it 6 years, 170?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they didn't
The
want to
Astros.
give him the and they didn't want to give him the opt-out after 1 year. What the heck kind of contract is this?
It's crazy. A 3-year deal with $120 million and 2 opt-outs.
Yeah.
So basically it's an opt-out after every year of the contract, which, I mean, I can't imagine him. He's banking on himself to have an absurd year next year and then opt out of it and get a bigger deal. And then also at the same time hoping that he can benefit off Fenway Park.
Yeah.
I think it's a wild deal. If you're the Red Sox, why would you give this contract out? You are not in a 1-year window if you're the Boston Red Sox. You're not stuck up with a bunch of old contracts. In fact, you have a bunch of young, youthful players on your team. Rafael Devers is young. The pitching staff is young. Why would you let a player sign a deal like this? Why would you, he's going to opt out. And if he doesn't opt out, it's 3 years and he's robbing you blind for $120 million. I'm sorry. I like Alex Bregman as a player. He's not a $40 million a year AAV player at all. So good for the Red Sox, I guess. But I hate this deal. I don't understand it. Good for Alex Bregman. I don't know why he would take this deal over the security, because all we heard all offseason was all he wanted was the security.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he signs a 3-year deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I meant Astros. I apologize.
Yeah.
I saw a report from someone, can't remember who it was, who was saying that it's possible they can move Bregman to second because Trevor Story's shoulder might not be healed. Talk about a nightmare contract. That
Albatross. Yeah, the only thing worse right now, contract-wise, in the entire league that I can think of when it comes to
Anthony
Trevor Story
Rendon.
is Anthony Rendon.
Another nightmare scenario. If you didn't hear about this, people, Anthony Rendon, hip surgery, right? Is that what it is?
Is done for the season.
He's already done for the season.
Yeah. That's got to be the worst. This is the craziest stat you'll ever hear. So
the
Anthony
Angels
Rendon
have had such bad contracts, right?
After 2025 season, which you can now count for him because it's over, he'll have 5 years with the Angels since he signed with them. 5 years. This is the craziest stat ever. Ted Williams, in his 5-year stretch with the Red Sox, where he fought in World War II within this 5-year stretch, played in more games for the Red Sox than Anthony Rendon has played for the Angels in the 5 years that he's up and down with them. It's getting to a point where they're going to have to say, just don't come back. The issues that he's caused when he's on the field, he doesn't play well when he's on the field. He punched a fan in the face 2 years ago in Oakland. There are so many problems.
He's admitted that he doesn't even really like
baseball.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
So someone I know said that maybe he punched the fan because the fan said he liked baseball and Rendon was mad at him.
It is nuts. The guy doesn't even want to play. It's off of that. What year was the Nationals World Series? Was it
2019?
Yeah. Coming off that World Series, he was the top prize free agent out there, and everybody wanted a piece of him because of how good he was in that playoff run. And wow, what a turnaround. I mean, it's been remarkable how bad of a contract this has been.
Crazy. I mean, the Yankees have seen their own share of bad ones, but
not this bad.
Really bad. This is worse than Jacoby Ellsbury. Like this is
by miles.
Jacoby Ellsbury, you had a few years in there where he played. But this one is just
horrific.
Yeah.
It's as bad as it gets.
Yeah. We're here. It's the end of the week. We made it to the weekend.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And have a safe Valentine's Day too. Be careful when you're out, if you're out, and enjoy your meals and your drinks and get some nice flowers for your ladies if you have them.
I can't wait. I'm going to a sushi place on Saturday. I am unbelievably excited. I've been shaking in my seat all week thinking about it. I'm so excited to go.
Yeah, sushi is my worst nightmare. So.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the season. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you next week.